Hey there, my friend. Welcome to Lulawa Yoga. I am Lauren, and in today's yoga pose breakdown, we are talking about Utkatasana, also known as chair pose. So if you have practiced yoga before, more of like an active-based class, you most likely have practiced chair pose. It's one of these standing poses that is really synonymous with yoga. And part of the reason for that is it is a great pose to help build strength and stability in the body. Particularly, this pose focuses on the core, right? So just everything from like shoulders to your butt. And then the legs as well. So this kind of mid and lower half of the body, which makes this pose tremendous to practice as we age. We know that we tend to lose strength the quickest in the lower half of the body as we age. So adding this as part of your daily repertoire or your practice is highly recommended. All right, so let's begin from here. And just a quick note, we're going to go through the pose, talk through a couple of alignment points, and then I'm going to show you just some modifications if you want to take it down a notch or if you want to take it up a notch. All right, so to begin, typically this pose is taught with the big toes touching, a little bit of space between the heels. And we do that so that when we come into the pose, we can press everything, the knees, the thighs together. That helps provide more stability. However, if you've got some funkiness in the low back, feel free to keep your feet spread about hip distance apart and all 10 toes pointing forward. Okay, so for me, I'm going to do it the traditional way. So big toes are touching here. I'm going to turn sideways. All right, big toes are touching space in between my heels. And from here, do it with me. Let's go ahead, stand up tall, and maybe put the hand to the low belly and hand to the low back here, and draw that tailbone slightly under and feel the front of your pelvis gently lift up. And when we do that, you should feel your abdominal muscles turn on, right? Slightly engage here. You should also feel your butt squeeze a little bit. We want to engage those glutes. So tailbone down, pubic bone gently pulls up. You're slightly squeezing your cheeks. Core is engaged. Let's take the arms right up overhead. Right thumbs behind you. Try to pull those biceps back towards the ears. Take a big old breath in. And as you exhale, bend your knees. Stick your butt out slightly behind you, as if you were trying to sit in a chair that's just out of reach. All right, so as we talk through this, maybe bring the hands down to prayer. I want you to focus on the feet to start. Send weight to your heels, so much so that you can lift your toes off of the mat. From there, we want the shins to mirror what's happening in the torso. So they should be in similar angle. Right, you're feeling this in the quads, the top of the thighs, of course, but you should also feel this in the booty, in the hamstrings. Pull that low belly in. We're keeping a little bit of the natural curve to the low back. Pull your shoulder blades together, so don't slump forward, right? We're not doing this number. Shoulder blades pulled together. And then let's take those arms back up. Keep the gaze easy here and breathe. In and out through the nose, another breath. Good, and then let's come on up to standing. Whoo! Shake, shake, shake. Okay, so those are the basic alignment points with Utkatasana. One thing in particular, I have seen some people practice this pose like this, where they're bent forward, staring down at the ground. We want to keep the torso lifted. Right, so torso, remember, just a good rule of thumb, torso and shins should be in the same angle. Okay, so let's start with modifications, right? Depending on where you are at, maybe you're recovering from injury or something going on and you need to take it down. Doing the standing just isn't quite your jam. Grab a chair. You can still get the benefits of this pose, practicing it seated. So come to the edge of a chair or your couch, right? Whatever you've got. And the same thing, let's start with feet hip distance, scoot towards the end. And those same principles apply here. Pull your shoulder blades gently together. Think about engaging that core and take the arms up overhead. You could walk the feet back a couple of inches, closer to whatever you're sitting on. Keep pulling the belly in and maybe just lean forward ever so slightly. Doing that, you'll feel the muscles of the back engage. Stay here another breath. Right? And then from there, if you want to take it up, maybe hands come into prayer. And you practiced standing and then controlling a descent back into the chair. So that would look like hands together, pressing, right? That's going to help with stability. Hand pressing into hand. Engage your core. And from here, shift a little bit of body weight forward and come up. Pause. And then slow, lower yourself back down. Right? If you need to use a hand, no shame in that, right? So we would come up, right? Maybe the descent, you're like, all right, I need a little assistance, do it. Right? So that's one option to modify. Use the chair, and then you would work your way up until you can practice the pose freestanding. But for those of you, maybe you've already, nailed the standing traditional version of this pose and you want to take it up a notch. All right, so let's do it together, my friend. Let's bring those big toes together. All right, let's come into the pose. Bend the knees, taking the arms up overhead. So first variation here, if you want to take it up a little bit more, start to work deeper into the legs. Just little pulses, right? Up and down. Right, we're not doing this number, right? It's a slow little pulse. With the breath here, I always say slow takes strength because we're relying on muscle, not momentum here. So just another time or two. Good. And then let's bring those hands down, right? So maybe you've mastered that and that's where you're at. You could shift a little bit of body weight over to that left foot. Pick your right foot up off of the mat. Now we're challenging balance. Stay deep into the work. And same thing, little pulses now. So now we're working on stability. Now we're working on balance. Really targeting that standing leg. And then you would swap to the other side. Weight to the right foot, pick up the left. Staying deep in it, not coming up out of it, but stay deep here, another breath or two. Right, and then come back in through center, and you could repeat that. You could hold a traditional chair pose if you want to go from a little bit further from there. Another option to take it up. Coming back into the pose, big toes are touching. Let's take it down, arms up overhead. Exhale, bend the knees, chair pose. Now from here, you pick hands into prayer or keep the arms lifted. I'm taking the hands down. But shift the weight to the balls of the feet and lift your heels. This is balancing chair. Woo! It's also a wobbly chair if you're me today. All right, so stay in it, right? If you come out like I did, that's okay. But keep squeezing things to midline and breathe. Now, from here, same thing. You could pulse up and down. You could add the arms. Woo. Right, and always come back in. Enjoy it. Let it be playful. Yee. Let's see if I can do that. One more breath. If you're with it, stay with me. Just a couple more. Good. And then finally, if you want to take it up from there, one more way to add an element of challenge is to come back to the pose. Right, let's just take a cleansing breath. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center out of the mouth. Let's do it again. Inhale, arms up. And this time, chair pose, Utkatasana. So from here, keep the arms lifted, close the eyes. Maybe you progress with eyes closed, adding that little pulse. right? Maybe you progress from there, heels lifted, everything that we just did, but with the eyes closed. Stay wherever you're at, just another breath or two. And then when you're ready, heels down, let the eyes open, sweep the arms up, and exhale, hands to heart center. All right, my friend, that's our pose breakdown today. Utkatasana, chair pose. Remember, all those alignment points start from the feet, work up. Use your props, chair, whatever you've got handy, or maybe play around with taking it up a notch. I look forward to seeing you again soon on the mat.